Well, Stallions, this is a Canon EOS M200 over here. What's in my hand, not what's recording me. This is a Sony A5100, but this is a pretty good camera for live streamers, YouTubers, and online content creators, period. This is an Elgato Cam Link, which allows you to use a mirrorless or DSLR camera, a photography style camera, as a webcam. But the Canon M200 actually has a software program called the Use Webcam Utility, but you don't want to use it. You really do not. Alrighty boys, so this is now the Canon M200 here, and I'm using the Elgato Cam Link 4K, which allows me to use this camera at its maximum native resolution and refresh rate, which is going to be 1080p, 60 frames per second, which is absolutely perfect or ideal for streaming to most live platforms like Twitch, Facebook Gaming, and YouTube Live. Now, this is a pretty darn good camera. I do have a full review that will be linked in the description below if you want to hear my thoughts on the Canon EOS M200. However, as you can see, there is kind of a pinkish hue to everything. Looks like my skin's a little pink and whatnot, and you can adjust this with some color grading built on board the Canon itself or inside of your streaming software, whether that's OBS, Streamlabs OBS, Twitch Studio, whatever it is you use as your broadcasting software. You can do a little bit of color grading and correction, but at that point it looks unnatural because it gets a little bit whitewashed and whatnot, and that right there was the primary reason that I ended up landing on the Sony A5100. I did also try the Panasonic Lumix G7, I believe it was, and that's a pretty good camera as well. These are all in the $500 price point, and they're all aimed at live streamers as well as YouTube content creators, vloggers, because it has the flip up 180-degree screen. Well, the Panasonic G7's a flip out, but still you can monitor yourself and make sure you're in frame and all that other good stuff. This actually looks pretty good. It's 1080p, 60 frames per second, using the same 3 light setup that I was using during the intro of my Sony A5100. But now we are going to switch over to using no additional piece of hardware, so no Cam Link or Cam Link 4K, and just tethering it with a micro USB cable and the Sony EOS Webcam Utility. Alrighty boys, now this is with the Canon EOS Webcam Utility, and as you can see, this is now only taking up about a quarter of the screen or so. Well, why is that? Well, the maximum resolution in frames per second of this application, 576p at 30 frames per second, but in reality, it is more like 24 frames per second. I did use a frame counter application on this window of Streamlabs OBS, and the webcam was outputting about 24 frames per second, so that's less than half of what you're getting with the Cam Link, and 576p is actually a quarter of the resolution as full HD 1080p. I know what you're thinking, Kevin, that math doesn't add up. That's not a quarter. Well, numbers aside, 576p actually is about a quarter of the quality or resolution, hence the fact that this is now taking up about a quarter of my usual screen. And over here on my game screen, as you can see, I am now only taking up about a quarter of this window right here, which is generally my webcam when I'm doing some kind of screen sharing or, of course, gaming. But wait, there's more. That's not all. Hold on, I'll blow your tits back. I'm going to switch over to the Canon A5100 again and then finish up with a couple of key points as to why you really don't want to use the Canon EOS Webcam Utility, because I could stretch this window out here and it would take up the full screen and it wouldn't be a huge deal. But there's more, boys. So why else would you not want to use the EOS Webcam Utility from Canon, besides the fact it's about a quarter of the resolution and less than half of the frames per second or refresh rate? Well, it actually amplifies that weird color gradient, that kind of pinkish hue that is naturally inherent or evident on the M200. When you're not using a Cam Link, which seems to kind of smooth out some of that color grading through its onboard encoding, whenever you just use a micro USB cable and plug directly into your PC to simulate it as a webcam, the wonky colors actually get amplified. Not to mention, another negative is since you are just using a micro USB cable and not a mini or micro HDMI cable into a Cam Link, which also does onboard encoding on that little thumb drive before it even gets processed into your PC and then goes to your streaming software, it actually introduces a little bit of audio delay to where you can actually notice that when you're speaking, it's like you have Japanese subtitles on, which is not cool. Now, you can remedy that by going inside of Streamlabs or OBS, whatever your broadcasting software is, and setting about 100 milliseconds of audio delay. But again, that's just another side effect of using the webcam utility. Now, also sharing my screen over here, I am on the landing page for the EOS Webcam Utility. It's kind of tricky to install, actually. You have to come all the way down here, then you have to select your model of camera, and then from there you go down to drivers. It's the 4th one down here, Webcam Utility. A lot of people accidentally install Windows Utility. It's this 4th one down here, Webcam Utility, and when you click on it, you actually have to enter your email address, which kind of sucks, but you can opt out of marketing and you can opt out of marketing and promotional emails, which of course you want to do. Now, if you come over here to Amazon, the Cam Link 4K is $115. It retails for $130, but it is literally always $116 on sale on Amazon. And you want to get the Cam Link 4K. You do not want to get the traditional Cam Link, which caps out at 1080p 60. The 4K model can do 1080p 60 or 4K 30, but that's not the main selling factor of this. The fact is, Elgato actually discontinued the traditional Cam Link, so it's actually more expensive than just getting the 4K model, and this is a little bit more future-proof if you do eventually get yourself a 4K camera. That's another thing to kind of keep in mind, is that a Cam Link is an investment in your streaming setup. You will go through probably several cameras and still be using the same Cam Link. So this is a piece of equipment that you're going to use through several versions or iterations, several upgrades of a camera in your setup, and you're still going to be using the same Cam Link. Now, you do not need to get something like these internal video capture cards that you put inside your tower, your case of your PC, that have like 4 Cam Links built into them, unless you have a full-blown professional streaming setup where you have several photography style cameras set up around your room and you want to be able to switch scenes. That is when you're going to upgrade to something like this. But honestly, this is what you want right here, the Cam Link 4K. This will be linked in the description below, as well as the Sony A5100 I'm recording on, the stand that it's on, and also the Canon M200 if you are interested in that camera as well. So hopefully this video was beneficial for you guys. I just wanted to point out the 4 major flaws of using the webcam utility device using something like the Elgato Cam Link. It's a quarter of the resolution. It's less than half of the frames per second. It increases the crappy color gradient, and also it introduces audio lag. If this video was beneficial for you guys, shoving your thumb not up your butt but on the like button helps the video to get seen by more people, so this information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover a lot of news in the gaming community and industry, as well as honest product reviews and tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.